Nityanati manasya snamsana slakya seksualne taminata musiko venam. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurabhani Pacharni. Nirvishesha Sriya Paskachai Yasotarini. Bhakti. So Krishna has given us in the first 10 verses knowledge that leads to liberation. And now Krishna is explaining that he is the ultimate goal of all paths, and everyone is depending on his mercy for attaining success. Krishna will also mention that he created the Varnashram system, and in the Varnashram system, everyone can fulfill their material desires and make progress towards liberation. But he's above the system. After explaining his transcendental position, Krishna analyzes action and describes how to perform activities on the transcendental plane. So 4:11 is a famous verse that Prabhupada quoted many times. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Ye yatama pavachante tamstadeva vajamyam mama bhaktmana bhaktante manusya bhakta sarvasa. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. So everyone is searching for different aspects of Krishna. That is partially realized through his Brahma Jyoti, Brahman effulgence, that then he can be realized as the all-pervading super soul, Paramatma, but is only fully realized by his devotees in the Bhagavan feature. So Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in transcendental attitude. That the pure devotees, both here and in the transcendental abode, associate with him in person and are able to render service to the Lord and derive transcendental bliss in his loving service. As for those who are impersonalists and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the living entity, Krishna helps also to absorb them in his effulgence further. But they are not admitted into the spiritual planets. But they are given again a chance to act on the material planets. They have to come down again. Everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy alone, and all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path. So we have the path of jnana, the path of Astanga Yoga, and path of jnana lead to Brahman realization, but that's a partial aspect. And then to make further progress, one has to do yoga and come to the Paramatma realization. And then, still, with that perfection, still you have to stay in the material world. Then you have to come to the next realization that Paramatma is an expansion of Krishna, so I should worship Krishna and become a devotee. So, all stages on that path. That it's not that Krishna says they are all on my path, they will all attain the same goal. No, that's not what Krishna is saying. But unless they come to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect. At the end, Prabhupada quotes this verse from the second canto of the Bhagavatam, Akam Sabakampura Mokshika Akama Udarati, Trivena Bhaktiuna Chaita Purushampara. Whether one is without desire or is full of material desires or wants to get liberation, he should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Baladevidya Bhushan. I respond to persons according to the manner and mood in which they surrender unto me, O son of Pita. All blessed men follow these various paths of worship of me, the one Lord. I certainly respond to the devotees according to the mood in which they worship me. I am merciful to them, appearing before them with a form and mood appropriate to their type of mood. That's interesting. Krishna appears before us in the mood, the form we feel attracted to. That's confirmed in the Bhagavatam. From Bhakti Yoga Parivara Putarit Saroja. That all these men, Manusya Sarvasa, blessed with their lineages of worship, have no beginning, follow the path of worship, Bhaktma, which has many types for the many different forms of me, the one form. Srila purpose. Everyone is searching for Krishna. There are 3 levels of liberation or of realization: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. Paramatma, Brahman, Bhagavan. That verse 11, Srila Prabhupada's purport. That, so, how Krishna reciprocates. With the pure devotees, he reciprocates in 5 primary rasas: Santaras, Dasyaras, Sakya, Vatsal, Madhurya. Neutrality, servitorship, friendship, parental love, and conjugal love. With the yogi, he reciprocates, he gives them mystic power, or if they don't want that, he gives them Paramatma realization. With the impersonalist, he helps them to absorb in his effulgence. And the fruitive workers, he gives their desired results. So he reciprocates with all. That, yes?
How does Krishna reciprocate with us who we are not yet knowing what our answer is, but we will try to give our fruitive activities.
But
we try to give our fruitive activities.
Yeah, his reciprocation is, he will purify your heart. Geen Vrtas Bhagata Krishna Punya Shravna Kirtana Krityanta Torah Bhadrani Pidunot Suratsatam. When Krishna sees in the heart that you become attracted to him, then he starts to purify your heart and takes all unwanted things away. A nice reciprocation, purification. That so this is Vishwanath Chakravarti. So I thought the Jnanis would think of my birth as temporary in the nose of Maya. The nose of Maya. The Jnanis and others who surrender unto me while thinking of my birth and activities as temporary and thinking of my deity form as material, I throw those Jnanis again and again in the nose of Maya with its temporary births and action, and bestow upon them the sorrows of birth and death. Hare Krishna. Reflections. How Krishna responds to the amount of our surrender. Am I developing a mood of surrender to Lord Krishna, really? Am I doing that? Or I want still to depend on my own attachments and my temporary shelters? Yes. know Lord Krishna and his devotees are Nishkam, without material desires. That we will now learn in the next verses, verse 12 to 40 to 15. Lord Krishna has created a varnashram system whereby men can fulfill their material desires and can progress towards liberation. He is above the system. Krishna is neutral and only facilitates, through the agency of material nature, fulfillment of the jiva's desire to act, but is not responsible for their right and wrong activities and subsequent results. He does not aspire for the fruits of action, and is aloof from material actions and reactions. Arjuna should follow the example of past liberated souls who acted with this understanding of Krishna's transcendental nature. So that's a summary, but we will see what it all means. That's 12. Worship of demigods for success in fruitive activities. 12. Kankshanta karmanam siddhim yayanta eva devatam kshiprami manusya loke siddhir bhavati karmacha. Men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, man gets results from fruitive work in this world. So there's a great misconception about the gods or demigods. Actually, the demigods are different forms of God, but they are God's different parts and parcels, like we. We are also parts and parcels. The supreme God is one, Krishna, and the demigods are elevated, are delegated with powers to manage this material world. Anyone who thinks that God and the demigods are on the same level is called an atheist or Pashandi. But Narayan, Vishnu, or Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, does not belong to this world. He is above. Foolish people, Ritagyan, worship the demigods because they want immediate results. They get the results, but do not know that results so obtained are temporary and are meant for less intelligent persons. The demigods of this material world, as well as their worshippers, will vanish with the annihilation of this material world. So the boons they give are temporary, and they are also temporary. This verse indicates that people are rarely interested in Krishna consciousness. They are mostly interested in material enjoyment, and therefore they worship some powerful living entity. That's the first thing Krishna says here about this is the lowest path of the materialist. They are all on my path. Anyway. Chaturvarnyam maya shishtam guna karma vibharasa tasya kartamapina vintya kandra vitya kartaram apyam. According to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me, and although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet a non-doer, being unchangeable. So, guna karma, according to guna and karma, that you have here. Karma is according to their work, and they do their work according to their guna, to the quality they have. That the human society is similar to any other animal society, but to elevate man from the animal status to the above divisions. The above divisions are created by the Lord for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. The tendency of a particular man toward work is determined by the modes of material nature which he has acquired. A person in Krishna consciousness, however, is above even the Brahmins. So yes, Krishna created a varnashram system. And to elevate man from animal status to human being. Yeah. One belongs to a certain particular order according to the work and the modes one has acquired. As Krishna is above the Varnashram system, a Vaishnava is also transcendental to all divisions of human society. If you become a Vaishnava, if you have attained liberation, you go beyond liberation, you become a Vaishnava. Before we are trying to become devotees, that the devotion is not yet there. Devotee means devotion. And that develops really after liberation. And then you are beyond the Varnashram system. So the Brahman, they're predominated by sattva, have such actions as sama and dhamma, controlling the mind and senses, dhamma. The Kshatriyas, predominated by rajas, that's the mode of passion, have actions such as fighting. Those with rajas and tamas prominent, a combination, they are the Vaishyas. They perform activities such as agriculture and business. And the Sudras predominate by tamas, serve the other three varnas. So you have here these three, the Vaishyas, the Kshatriya, the Brahmins, the Sudra. Nice. So Varnashram is meant for the systematic development of Krishna consciousness. That's the purpose. Therefore, we have 4 ashrams: Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. And we apply that also in our movement. We are supposed to belong to one of these 4. That I say suppose, because you have Brahmastras, combination between Brahmacharya and Grihastha. Anyway, that's the purity. But we are supposed to go through this 4. So before marrying, you should be for some years a brahmachari or brahmacharini. Otherwise, it causes big problems. Yeah, and just a life is temporary. You are 50, get out, vanaprastha, and prepare for sannyas. So the tendency of a particular man towards work is determined by the modes of nature he has acquired. The modes we will study in chapter 14, the different natures, different professions. So here, a devotee transcends the limited knowledge of Brahman and reaches the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, and thus becomes Krishna consciousness. A person in Krishna consciousness transcends Varnashram. But still, we have to act according to our psycho-physical nature, unless we become actively fully Krishna conscious. Otherwise, you cannot give up your conditioned nature. You are not transcendental to the Varnashram, but you will become. So, for Krishna consciousness, the Varnashram is like a safety belt. As Krishna is transcendental to the Varnashram system of the 4 divisions of human society, a person in Krishna's consciousness is also transcendental to all divisions of human society, whether we consider the division of community, nation, or species. Varnashram creates a peaceful society and brings the participants healthy to the mode of goodness. So we have to come to goodness, and from goodness we go, from sattva we go to the Shuddha sattva, transcendental goodness. That's Krishna consciousness. it's easier to go from goodness to transcendental consciousness than from passion. If you are in passion, you must first come to goodness. But anyway, but because Parnashram is in goodness, then even if you have problems with your practice of Krishna conscious, if you are in the Varnashram, you fall down in goodness. That's not so bad. It's a safety belt, therefore. Safety belt. That Parnashram brings everyone to goodness. Reflections. If the authorities want to engage me in service which is contrary to my psychophysical nature, then what do I do? That Hare Krishna. Think about it. 14. Namam karmani limpanti name karma phalespriya itamam yo bichanati karma birna sabachati. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of actions. One who understands this truth about me does not become entangled in fruitive reactions of work. So, in other words, Krishna is the creator of the material world. He created all the laws. He's not under the laws. He's not affected by the activities of the material world. We are. But, yeah. The proprietor never desires the low-grade happiness such as the workers may desire. So Krishna does never aspire for the low-grade activities of sense gratification. He's not interested in that. So the rains are not responsible for different types of vegetation that appear on the earth, although without such rains, there is no possibility of vegetative growth. So Krishna is like the rains. He creates a material world, and we do our activities and we get reactions. We come and we cultivate things and get results, happiness and distress. So in the material creations, the Lord is the only supreme cause. The immediate cause is material nature, by which the cosmic manifestation is made visible. You have the immediate cause and the remote cause. Krishna is the remote cause. He glances and everything happens. That's explained in Bhagavatam. Or Krishna just creates by his glance, his desire. He thinks, he just desires and it happens. One who does not know the transcendent nature of the Lord and who thinks that the activities of the Lord are aimed at fruitive results, as are the activities of ordinary living entities, certainly becomes entangled himself in fruitive activities. But one who knows the supreme truth is a liberated soul, is fixed in Krishna consciousness. The one who thinks Krishna no ordinary person. There was a Christian nun in Poland. She brought us before court, and what was the charge? Krishna is immoral. It's in their book. He dances with 16,000 wives. He's immoral. And it came before the judge, and so the charge was read, and then our lawyer asked the judge, "Oh, Your Honor, may I ask her a question?" And the judge said, "Go ahead." And he asked the nun, "What's the meaning of this ring at your hand?" And that was the end of the court case. What's the meaning of the ring? Jesus Christ. So many nuns, maybe thousands of nuns are married to Jesus Christ. So Krishna is immoral. So Jesus Christ is immoral then. That was the end of the court case. Dismissed immediately. Because she did not understand the nature of Krishna, the transcendental nature. He was bringing him to the mundane platform, that, but is the source of everything. That actions who do not contaminate me, I have no desire for the fruits of war. One who knows this about me is not bound by actions. Because if we act in Krishna consciousness, then we act without desire for the fruits of war, and we are not bound by our actions either. We do the same. The devotees do the same as Krishna. Verse 14. Namam karmani limpanti nami karma phalaspriya iti mam yo vijanati karma birna sabatyate. There's no work that affects me, nor do I despair for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me does not become entangled in the fruitive reactions of work. So the Lord, although he is the creator of this material world, is not affected by the activities of the material world. That, I think we just read this, right? That, So a king can do no wrong. He's not subject to the state laws. Lord Krishna is not affected by the activities of the world. The proprietor of the factory never desires a low-grade happiness, such as the workers may desire. And here, the rains are not responsible for the different types of vegetation, although without such rains, there is no growth, no possibility of vegetative growth. So different things grow on the earth by the rain. So the Lord, similarly, the Lord gives facilities for the reactions of the jivas, past good and bad activities. The living entity is responsible for his own acts. He creates his own fruits by his actions, not in Krishna consciousness, but thinking himself the doer. Reflections. Hope. Lord Krishna has no desire for the fruits of work. When will I give up my desire for fruitive work? By adopting the process of devotional service, which means offering the results of my work and the work itself to the Lord. Hare Krishna. 15. Ivankyatva kritam karma pufer api mamukshubhihi kokamaiva tasmat sampufai pupataram kritam. All the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. So the purport, there are two classes of men. Some of them are full of polluted material things within their hearts, and some are materially free. Krishna consciousness is equally beneficial for both these persons. Those who are full of dirty things can take the line of Krishna consciousness for a gradual cleansing process, following the regulative principles of devotional service. Those who are already cleansed of impurities may continue to act in the same Krishna consciousness, so that others may follow their exemplary activities and thereby be benefited. To retire from activities of Krishna consciousness and sit aloof making a show of Krishna consciousness is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. Yes. Neophytes in Krishna consciousness, they want to retire from activities. And they don't have a complete understanding of Krishna consciousness, that you must do service to purify yourself. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following in the footsteps of the Lord's previous disciples. So Baladev Vidyabhusha, knowing this about me, desiring liberation in ancient times, performed action without desire. Therefore perform action as the ancients performed it, follow after their predecessors. If one is impure in heart, one should perform these actions to purify the heart, and it leads to jnana. If one is already pure, one should perform the action to teach others. Krishna said that before. Yeah. Reflections. Lord Krishna advised Arjuna to engage in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna, following in the footsteps of previous disciples. Srila Prabhupada. Do I perform activities for the sake of Krishna 24 hours a day? Question. Anyway, today you will have many hours heard Bhagavad Gita. That's already purifying, very purifying. Now 16. After explaining his transcendental position, Krishna analyzes action and perform how to perform activities on the transcendental plane. This section which is difficult to understand. Have your full attention on. Okay. 16. Kim karma ki kavayopya pramoita tate karma pavakshami yathatvam muksabe subhat. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. Now I shall explain to you what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. So in the purport, to act in Krishna consciousness, one has to follow the leadership of authorized persons who are in the line of disciplic succession as explained in the beginning of the chapter. Therefore, one has to follow in the footsteps of previous authority in the line of disciplic succession. Because the direct instruction of the Lord to Arjuna, anyone who follows in the footsteps of Arjuna is certainly not bewildered. It is said that one cannot ascertain the ways of religion simply by imperfect experimental knowledge. Actually, the principles of religion can only be said, it could be let down by the Lord himself. Dharmantu saksa bhagavat pranitam. For this Yamaraj to the Yamadutas. No one can manufacture religion, religious principles by imperfect speculation. One must follow in the footsteps of the Mahajans, Brahma, Shiva, Narada, Manu, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlad, Bhishma, Sukadev Goswami, Yamaraj, Jana again, and Bali Mats. Only action performed in Krishna consciousness can deliver a person from the entanglement of material existence. So here are all these Mahajans mentioned. And now text 17. Be very attentive. Krishna says, Karmano yapi bodhavyam sa vikarmana. Akarmana sa bodhavyam gana karmana gati. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, we should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. Someone can read the purport, please? It's a short one.
If one is serious about liberation from material bondage, one has to understand the distinctions between action, inaction, and unauthorized actions. One has to apply oneself to such an analysis of action, reaction, and heroic action, because it is a very difficult subject matter. To understand Krishna consciousness and action according to its modes, one has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme. I.e., one who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. Any other conclusions against this consciousness and its attended actions are vikarmas or prohibited actions. To understand all this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even the most intelligent persons will be bewildered.
Yes, thank you. We will go first to the commentaries about acharyas and then go a little deeper in that. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. One should understand the truth about vikarma, that performance of forbidden action leads to misery. Here, Prabhupada, we just read it in the purport, that to understand this, one has to associate with authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. Otherwise, even the most intelligent person will be bewildered. Reflection. Are my own daily activities karma, vikarma, or akarma? Now that we are, what does the soul do? What's the action of the soul? Desire. So we can desire in different ways. We can desire to do karma. Karma is here a different meaning. Karma can have different meanings. We have seen that last week. Karma can mean all the reactions of my past deeds. Karma means also work. But karma here means sukarma, doing good work. Work which is described in the scriptures, and that leads to happiness of the body in next life. That is this karma here. But for this you have to take birth again, and that's painful. So we don't want that. And vikarma are sinful activities, mainly the breaking of sinful activities are against the principles of religion, four principles: cleanliness, saucham, tapas, austerity, the doya, mercy, and truthfulness, satyam. And the four regulative principles, if we break them, we break these principles. They are related to that. And that's vikarma. And vikarma leads to suffering, hellish suffering. And akarma is action to please Vishnu, as done as a sacrifice. 3-9. And that is no reaction. No reaction materially. So how do we, let's say, without desire, we are pushing the buttons. We have the green button is good karma. The red button is bad karma or vikarma. And the Krishna conscious body is the blue, akarma. It is with our desire that we push these buttons and activate. If we push the red button, we will suffer. If we push the green button, then we will enjoy material happiness in the future and take birth again. If we push the blue button, we become materially inactive. but spiritually active. That means if you push the blue button, you are spiritually active and material inactive. That it is inaction within action. Inaction within action. Krishna will speak that in the next verse. That my Bhakti Sastri is in the past. I said to him, I'm going to ask this question. Explain what is inaction in action, inaction within action. And they all failed. That's so bewildering. But you must put within between. It is inaction within the action. So the action is spiritual, but you are inactive materially. That was Arjuna's doubt. Yeah. So you are materially inactive. So there is inaction, materially inactive within your action. So we must stop pushing the red and the green button. We have to change our desire that we always push the blue button. Otherwise, we get in trouble. And we do that with our desire. So that's the point made here. Now, verses 18 till 20, acting in full knowledge. So, intently engaged in actions, but having given up the desire for the results of action, being always satisfied in the future realization of Atma and not depending on others, this person does nothing at all. Interesting. So we are not doing anything on the material platform if we act in Krishna consciousness. But, verse 20, but let's go to verse 18. Karmana karmaya pashat akarmani sakarmaya sabudinam manasyasu sayukta Krishna karmakrit. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. That is what we explained. A person acting in Krishna consciousness is not only free from the bonds of karma. At the end, the sense of eternal servitorship of Krishna makes one immune to all sorts of reactionary elements of work. 19. Yasya sarvasamaramba karma sankapa varchita shanachni dakhna karmanam tamahu panditam buddha. One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by the sage to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burnt up by the fire of perfect knowledge. So that says if you act in Krishna consciousness to please Krishna, no desire for sense gratification, Krishna will burn all your past reactions that by the fire of perfect knowledge. Purport. The purport. 19. Can someone read the purport of 19? It's only a few lines.
Only a person who knows can understand activity of the person Krishna consciousness. Because the person Krishna consciousness is devoid of all kinds of sense gratificatory propensities, it is to be understood that he is burned of the reaction of his work by perfect knowledge of his constitutional occupation as the eternal service of his experiences and material process.
Yeah. Yeah, continue.
He's actually learned. He is actually learned who has attained to such perfection of knowledge. Development of this knowledge of the eternal services of the Lord is compared to fire. such as fire, one fuel can burn up all kinds of reactions.
So that will be explained in detail in verse 37 of this chapter. We will see that tomorrow. That what Prabhupada mentions here. That's important because that's many times misunderstood. So a Krishna conscious person, in other words, has no desire for sense gratification. Therefore, all the reactions of his work are burnt up by perfect knowledge of his eternal servitorship of the Lord. He acts spiritually as a servitor for Krishna. That verse 20 now. Tyaktva karma phalasangam nityatripto nirasrasa karman abhi pavitunpi naiva kinshit karoti sa. Abandoning all attachment to the result of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, to perform no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. So if no attached to the results, and he does not want to perform anything for sense gratification, that he gets freedom from bondage, from reactions. Can someone read this purport? It's also a short one.
This freedom from the bondage of actions is possible only in Krishna consciousness, when one is doing everything for Krishna. The Krishna conscious person acts out of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no attraction for the results of the action. He is not even attached to his personal maintenance, for everything is left to Krishna. Nor is he anxious to secure things, nor to protect things already in his position. He does his duty to the best of his ability and leaves everything to Krishna. Such an unattached person is always free from the resultant actions of good and bad. It is as though he were not doing anything. This is the sign of akarma, or actions without rooted reactions. Any other action, therefore, devoid of Krishna consciousness, is binding upon the worker, and that is the real aspect of vikarma, as explained before.
So what is the symptom of our karma here? A Krishna conscious person walks out of love for Krishna. Thus he leaves everything up to Krishna. He's not anxious to protect things or to maintain himself. That is surrendered karma. That this is from the purport of Prabhupada, we just read. So, do I act for Krishna or for my own benefit? That's an important question. 21. The 21. Nirasya yatasitatma tyakta swara parikha sariram kevalam karma kumam napnoti kilbisham. Such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possessions, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus, working is not affected by simple reactions. The purpose. The Krishna conscious person does not expect good or bad results in his activities. He knows that because he is a part and parcel of the Supreme, the part played by him as a part and parcel of the whole is not his own activity, but is only being done through him by the Supreme. So Krishna works to him. That will be clear in the 11th chapter. That Krishna says to Arjuna, you should be nirmita matan, just being my instrument. I will do everything to you. And that's what's happening. When the hand moves, it does not move out of its own accord, but by the endeavor of the whole body. So he's free from all reactions of his actions. So here, you have a machine on the screen. It's oil for the machine. That as a machine part requires oiling and cleaning for maintenance. So Krishna conscious man maintains himself by his work just to remain fit for action in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. He is therefore immune to all reactions of his endeavors, oiling the machine. That understanding. So a Krishna conscious person does not expect good or bad results in his activities. Not expecting good or bad that come what Krishna gives us. A Krishna conscious person fully engages in self-realization, has very little time to falsely possess any material object. No time for that. Text 22. Yatrasha lava santusto is satisfaction. Tant vaiti patito vimatsara samasida vasidosha kepava nibatyate. He who is satisfied with gain which comes of his own accord, who is free from duality and who does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure, is never entangled, although performing actions. Can someone read the purport? It's a short one.
A Krishna conscious person does not make such endeavor, even to maintain his body. Is satisfied with gains which are obtained of their own effort. He neither bets nor borrows, but he labors honestly as far as is in his power, and he is satisfied with whatever is obtained by his own honest labor. He is therefore independent in his livelihood. He does not allow anyone's service to hamper his own service in Krishna consciousness. However, for the service of the Lord, he can participate in any kind of action without being disturbed by the duality of the material world. The duality of the material world is felt in terms of heat and cold, or misery and happiness. The Krishna consciousness person is above duality because he does not hesitate to act in any way for the satisfaction of Krishna. Therefore, he is steady both in success and in failure. These signs are visible when one is fully invested with knowledge.
Yes, so a Krishna person, Krishna conscious person, he has no desire which is separate from Krishna's desire. So he acts as an instrument of Krishna, and therefore is immune of all reactions. And therefore, he acts for the satisfaction of Krishna, and therefore he feels satisfied. So that is inner satisfaction. A Krishna conscious person is satisfied with gain which are obtained of their own accord. Is satisfied with what is obtained by his honest labor. Prabhupada. 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 That's better. Yeah. So how would the past have been different if I had acted always without attachment or aversion towards happiness and distress, and without any sense of possessiveness, always satisfied with what comes on his own accord? He would have been much happier, probably. That, yes. And now, text 23 and 24. Gata sangasya muktasya jnana vastita shetasya jahyasya sarata karma samagam pravalipyate. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence, transmystical. Purport, becoming fully Krishna conscious, one is freed from all dualities and thus is free from the contamination of the material modes. He becomes liberated because he knows his constitutional position in relationship with Krishna, and thus his mind cannot be drawn from Krishna consciousness. Therefore, whatever he does for Krishna, who is the primeval Vishnu. Therefore, all his work are technically sacrifices, because sacrifice aims at satisfying the Supreme. So this is very interesting, especially the next verse. The next verse, that's the last verse. be for today. Pramachpanam Brahmahavir Brahmakno Brahmanautam Brahmaiva Tenikatapyam Brahmakamasmadina. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities, and in which the consummation is absolute, and which is offered is of the same spiritual nature. So this is a principle that sounds complicated, but it's simple. That whatever you use in Krishna's service becomes transcendental. So here, the Brahman, he does a sacrifice, and he uses a ladle and the ghee and pours it in the sacrificial. Everything he uses is transcendental. That it becomes transformed, it becomes spiritualized. So in a campus at the university in America, the devotees did the following, that they invited everyone, all the students, to come and to participate in an experiment. They said we are going to transform material energy in spiritual energy. And they all came, and what did they do? They cooked a nice feast, and they offered it to Krishna, and then distributed it. It was all spiritualized, because it was offered to Krishna. It became spiritualized. That transforming material energy into spiritual energy. Yeah? So the principle of Krishna consciousness is described. The process by which the conditioned soul can get out of the material atmosphere is Krishna consciousness. The process of the transformation is generally known as jagya, or activity, simply meant for the satisfaction of Krishna. So this material bell can be removed at once by Krishna consciousness. Thus the offering for the sake of Krishna consciousness, the consuming agent of such offering, or the contribution, the process of consumption, the contributor, and the result are all combined together, Brahman, or the absolute truth. The absolute truth covered by Maya is called matter. Matter dovetailed for the cause of the absolute truth regains its spiritual quality. Krishna consciousness is the process of converting the illusory consciousness into Brahman, or the Supreme. Therefore, the body of a sannyasi is not burnt, because it's considered spiritual. It's not. So anyway, that's cure the disease. A patient who is suffering from a disorder of the bowels due to overindulgence in milk products is cured by another milk product, namely curds. The materially absorbed conditioned soul can be cured by Krishna consciousness, as set forth in the Gita. So it looks the same activity as the materialist. We are eating, but it's completely different. Matter dovetailed for the cause of the absolute truth against its spiritual quality. Krishna consciousness is a process of converting illusory consciousness into Brahman, or the Supreme. So it's converting from matter to spirit. Matter into spirit. Yeah. Matter into spirit. Reflections. Which path do I choose? Converting spirit into matter, or matter into spirit? It's up to us. And tomorrow we will discuss, tomorrow morning, various sacrifices and the results. These are sacrifices for different people. There's a big variety in these sacrifices. And that we will discuss tomorrow morning. Thank you for your patience. Very nice students. Tomorrow, because tomorrow in the morning, Not noontime, the first session. The 5th chapter will start at noon already, finish by the evening, and maybe go in the 6th chapter, we'll see. But it would be nice if we can tomorrow evening also do the first part of the 6th chapter. Then we can finish by 1:30 on Friday. Then you have more time to study. That's my intention also. And I have to prepare also other things. Good, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Happy